Hey, what's up, guys? You're kicking it with Rob. C5, C6, T10 quadriplegic.
C4, 5, 6, incomplete, bitches.
Today's about community. We were supposed to have our friend Gabe on, but due to timing issues, we weren't able to get him today.
Extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
That's cool. I tried to give him a buzz before. He's a busy man. I'll talk to him a little
that's what
bit.
I said. I was about to say he's a really busy guy. I know that he said he had a meeting in 10 minutes when I had talked to him earlier, so.
Okay, well, once again, another extenuating factor. He's a human being. We all got things. You know what I mean? Things.
Especially when it comes to this lifestyle.
Oh, baby. Well, then again, that's why we talk. Oh, it appears we got Choi in the house.
What's up, buddy?
Eric Choi. God. I love the kid like a brother, but every now and then you want to take your fist and ram it right through your brother's head.
Yeah.
He's one of those, man. Nothing says love like wanting to beat the crap out of your best friend, baby.
Yeah, and that's kind of what today's show's about is community and sticking together and support.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, community is a very essential part of existence, dude. It really is. It's you just it's just uh, as human beings, we're pack animals. Oh, what's that animal behind you? Oh, you got a beast. Oh, that's right,
Oh,
you got a cat.
my kitty cat.
Oh, once again, they're animals, man. We're all animals. Cats are a little bit better with isolation than human beings are. I mean, you can be a recluse if you're a human being, but it takes a different type of cat, no pun intended, to be completely solitary and things of that nature. But for the most part, it really doesn't work for humans. I mean, it can, but it's a different world, man. It's really just a different world. Oh, sorry, it's gonna take me a minute to get my shit together here.
Yeah, and today it's nice that we have the internet.
Oh,
You know, especially being paralyzed. Because I know when I was newly paralyzed, there wasn't too many quads or paras out there really putting out content.
well, it seems that we've all gotten over that. It's just well, how long you been busted up again?
Uh, it will be 10 years this 4th of
Ooh.
July.
Oh, that's right. You're right around me, man. I that one's a little dark. I'm tan, Choi. I'm tan. But I don't know. It's just maybe the lighting was a little off. Is what it is. Let me look into my bag of fucks once again. Don't care, Eric. Don't care. Um, yeah, dude. I'm pushing. This year I'll be 15.
I mean, when
You
did
know.
you start doing YouTube stuff?
Geez. I think it was. I don't know. We're going to be tested on this, there, boo boo.
Hey, I'm
I
sorry.
think it was about 13 years ago. It was, I don't know, maybe 13, 14. I don't remember. I was drinking a lot back then. Um, Either 13 or 14 years ago. I know it was in August when I introduced the Angry Quad and all the rest of that. But, it's just, I don't know. I I didn't like the first 15 minutes, and now I'm closing in the 15 years. I will
Yeah.
say this that once first off, I'm not a big computer guy. Call it what it is. It's just facts. I've dealt with all the whole technology thing reluctantly, only because I found it better for, once again, community, my mental strength, and all the rest of that madness. And uh, like I say, reluctantly, but I've met quite a few people through this entire medium that I mean, obviously, with the exception of yourself, that I can actually palate. Eric's a good guy. I like him. Me and you, maybe we should have a conversation about that someday. But that's a story for another day. Little shitty little smirk. Why I oughta.
Oh, that's right.
No.
I'll be coming
So
out to
what?
see you soon.
Excuse me?
I think I'll be out to see you soon.
Oh, God.
A little bit of community, right?
Yeah. I was just talking to the missus before. I think we're gonna move at the end of June. But I tell you what, if you're gonna swing by, that you mentioned something about the 4th of July. Don't worry about it, dude. When you get here, you just come up to the door. Whoever is here, you just welcome yourself in. They'll be very welcoming. Yep. Yeah. We're out. We're gonna be gone by the time you get here. That's what it is. Yep. I'm sticking with that one.
Oh, that's no fun, man.
What are you talking about? It'd be the best story of your life.
Oh, yeah, but the new homeowners will love that.
Why wouldn't they? Regardless. Obviously, fucking with you. Only because, like I said, I almost like you.
Yeah, I've actually met a lot of quads, paras through YouTube that just became like family, you know. We watched the Live the Roll Boys every, was it Tuesday nights?
Tuesday, yeah, last night.
Yeah, and, just sticking with each other and help each other out. I would use a 4G file. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because Mr. Angry Quad needs a flip or a smartphone.
Okay, excuse me.
You need a smartphone.
Excuse me.
So we can,
Seems to me that we keep having this same conversation about this retard phone.
and it's not,
What are you doing, man? Get the hell out of here. I'm doing that reluctantly, dude. I don't want a little thing that's smarter than I in there, Bo. I just, no. I'm not truly interested. I know eventually I'm going to get there. I know you're going to win. But
yes,
even when you win,
I
I'm not
knew
going
it.
to admit it.
See, I knew it. I knew it. It's gonna work. It's gonna happen. Hey, Quad, 12 2 my 12 log. I dancing. See, I'm happy about this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something?
I'm very happy about this.
I was riveted on your every word. Let me be back over here and be more riveted on your every word. I know that I can't allow technology truly to surpass me. That's why I'm on a computer now. It only took me 10 years, okay? Give me another 10 years and I'll be right with you. I'm analog, dude. You're digital. It is what it is.
Yeah. So what other outlets do you think there are? I mean, other than YouTube.
Well, sorry to break it to you, boss, but that should be my question to you.
Well, I know that there is Zoom groups for a lot of us that go in and talk there might be 12, 13, 14 people that are on simulation, or you know what I mean.
No, I
Um,
don't. No, I have no idea what you mean.
I know
I
there's
don't
a
really,
lot of
you got that Instagram, you got that, that,
Facebook
you know,
groups. There's a lot of groups that I belong to that all kinds of information being shared.
well,
TikTok is another big one.
ain't big to me, but no, the guy, Eric Choi, that's on the chat right now. He's always been like, dude, you gotta get into, you gotta get on some of these Facebook pages. I mean, how many times I've heard from you to be like, if you really want to grow your channel, you got to get into Instagram and everything. And I'm like,
I don't really,
okay.
no, not Instagram. Like Quad 12, I do TikTok. I don't know if he does Instagram, but I do TikTok, Facebook every once in a while. I kind of got away from that and just post on YouTube and TikTok. I mean, I do go on the forums and check people out and see what's new in the world.
Like I say, I'll have to take your word for that. And I know, yes, yes, Robert, you are correct, but reluctantly.
I mean, it's like me, I wouldn't even start putting out videos if I didn't see your videos. So, I mean, there's a lot of people you could reach out that way.
No, as I said, I've met a lot of people, and yes, I have. I got a couple few subscribers, and anybody that wants to reach out to me, I'd be damned if I'm not going to, obviously get right back in touch with them
Yeah, we can
because it's
put it right there on the screen.
what do you got here for questions? Yeah, dude, cool, cool. It's one of those insidious perfection. Okay. But no, it's definitely another way for us to come together. As you mentioned before, with the Live to Roll boys, how tight they are with the accessibility expos and things of that nature. And they just had the guy last night, the one guy Lewis,
Yeah,
talking about the whole those little short movie things and stuff like that.
I found
You
that
know,
pretty interesting.
as well did I, and I like the one. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was just, he was just like, hey, I learned Final Cut Pro just to do the editing, and I actually do it. I do enjoy the editing. I like to, if I'm going to make a video, I want to have a beginning, a middle, an end, and then try to communicate something.
Yeah,
And to sort of make that video individual, but at the same time, if it has something to do with a prior video or something, that's one of the reasons where I'll typically have, see links below to give an idea of what it is that I have done, to sort of kind of give a little bit of integrity and credibility to what it is that I'm doing. However, I will say, it's, even we have the chat right here, you have the comment section and things of that nature. And, it's important. If somebody comments, you got to return it. It's just the whole, that connection thing.
yeah, it's like all of us, we all comment back and forth on each
Of
other's
course.
videos. Um,
Of course.
like I had spoken to Cordy. What is it, Derek? Cordy Transforms? I think that's his YouTube channel. But
Well,
he's going to be on here next week or the week after. Gonna coordinate that with him.
Okay.
He has
Yeah,
he pushes a lot of shorts out, kind of like I do.
yeah. A lot of the stuff that I saw, he seems to be pretty much independently shorts, but that's fine. Whatever. He's typically I see him. He's always, geez, always seems to be. No, he's the guy that's trying to peel back a couple ounces off himself, and he's always doing some training and things of that nature and everything.
Yeah, what I think he did is started with day one, and he's
Yes.
doing it every day so people can see the transformation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's how I cut my teeth, man. I started doing the training and stuff. Like I think my first video was, introducing, Captain Jerkoff, and after that, it was core from the floor. And geez, my last video, I was on
Was
the floor again.
I seen that? I started
Been
watching
there for
that.
years, man. Been there for years. And if anybody has any questions pertaining to any of that, I've done videos on getting down and getting back up and, everything in the middle. And, it's like I say, that's one of the reasons that I really do. I do enjoy the medium. I do enjoy the whole thing because, it's when I first started messing around, I couldn't find anything I could really, that appealed to me. The kid Simon Marcus out in Washington State, he was a stud muffin. He seems to have trailed off a little bit, and a couple other guys. But it's just it's important, and it's important if somebody actually contacts you, and if they even need some information or whatever it might be. I feel you have a moral obligation. And
Yes,
terrible as it seems, man, it is what it is.
I think any comment that comes across should be, thanked in some way or responded to. Especially on my comment. I mean, that's what I do. And I know
Well,
you answer all your comments.
absolutely. I still got to figure out why I don't get with my geez, any type of YouTube anything, or even if I go email and stuff, it still doesn't show me any part of the social aspect. I think I must have pissed somebody else off in my last life or something along those lines, but everything was fine. And now I actually physically have to go back into whatever page, whatever site it is, to actually see what's the dealio.
Yeah, I
Or
think, well, you have to go into the studio to actually,
done it.
that's where you have to answer your comments.
Done it.
Um, the one thing that I don't like is when you get a new reply that you're not notified through the studio. So you have to go in there and check. That
Exactly.
that does kind of suck.
Yeah, well, that's where I am, and it's not even another reply. It's all of them. But regardless,
It's a
not
little bit
really.
unuser friendly.
Excuse me.
It's unuser friendly when it comes to
Oh,
the comment section.
I agree with you 1,000,000,000%. Like I say, I don't know. I pissed. I seem to have either angered the gods or pissed somebody off. But once again, I don't lose any sleep over it. But however, once again, if somebody mentions something and has, needs to reach out to me, I want to be able to reciprocate. I want to, be able to, if somebody has a question, it's important. If somebody's watching something and they see a nuance of what you're doing, or, they're looking and go like this, they see something in the background and be like, hey, where'd you get that there? What'd you do with that? What's going on with that? it's good, bad, or indifferent. You got to let them know.
And
So,
the mental health aspect of it, because we go through a lot, and some of it's dark, and having someone to reach out to is relatively important, especially if you get, someone reaches out, you definitely want to reach back out, you know?
well, if you're going to ask a question, you can't be hung. You know what I mean? You can't be hung out to dry. The reason you ask that question is to find out what your response is going to be.
Exactly.
And that's all part of like the whole, community thing. That's all part of the support. And it's really important. That's why one of the first live chats that I did, there was a guy a while back. I don't remember what his gig was. Oh, geez, whatever. But I actually enjoyed it. It was just one guy just yabbering on for a little bit. And me, I was, poking fun and fucking with everybody, because if
That's what
I'm not
you do.
fucking with you, that means I don't like you very much. It's quite simple. And if I don't reply to you, if I don't say much of anything, it means I really don't like you at all. Me, ball busting is terms of endearment for me. So anybody, and also anybody that criticizes, I will respond. As long as you're not hypocritical, no problem. As long as we don't have any contradictions, no problem.
I know,
I'm a
because
walking, breathing contradiction.
we're not always going to see eye to eye,
Oh, hell no.
and I think that's where we got to, if you're not seeing eye to eye with someone, that's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, I see quads out there doing stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Good. That's fine. I mean, but it's how many brothers and sisters do you got?
Well, I got one brother,
Okay.
3 fake sisters. Sorry, but that's how I feel about them.
No, but I'm the youngest of 8. All right. I'm the youngest. I got a whole bunch. And, they all drive me absolutely insane. I agree with this one. I don't agree with that one. I'll talk to this one. I won't talk to that one, but I talk to them all. I have about 1 billion nieces and nephews. And, I'll talk to this one. I won't talk to that one. And it's just like, but that's just all family shit. And everything that I deal with, my brothers, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, my grandnieces, my grandnephews, and everything else like that. I have friends. I have, everybody else, and people that I talk to and I don't talk to. But I'll use this term loosely. The beauty of family is that, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. It just is what it is. But as long as, whether you're bitching, moaning, or, praising each other, that's what family is. And this is a form of a family thing, community and stuff like that, and stuff like that. It's the first time.
Oh, it's been a while since I heard that.
I've been doing a pretty good job at repressing that. Now I know since it came out, man, I'm gonna have to put that fox back in the
Put it
box.
right back in your pocket.
I'll do the best I can.
All
I'll do
right.
the best I can. One of the other things is that, that's another thing. I'm trying to get rid of that one as well. Is that, a lot of these things that we discuss and everything, it's a, you get to share a sense of purpose. When you're headed towards whatever it might be that you're headed towards, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever it might be. When you speak to someone who has a like idea as you, you share a sense of purpose. You share a sense of, you know, you can transfer information, suggestions. I actually prefer suggestions only because I am not a big fan to tell someone what to do because my attitude is, who am I to tell you what to do? All I can do is give you a suggestion. Oh, hey, Boo, what are you doing over there? Or, Eric, what are you doing over there? What you got going over there? Hey, did you see that thing that Eric put together? He had one of his boys did that all the RC stuff, and he had gotten a chair. I don't know if he got it on Timo or wherever the heck he got it from, but he had to have it retrofitted because he's got a bit of a situation with the arms and everything else like that. And everything else like that. It was close, but it didn't
yeah,
move
that
the
was
edge.
really close.
But the guy actually retrofitted his controller, and I just thought it was badass. However, the guy he spoke to was part of another guy doing another thing, and then he met him, and the guy hooked him up with the stuff. However, it was the community element that brought him together with this guy, and it was really, really impressive. And if he was just an isolated island, you would have never heard ooh gods about that.
I think it's paying it,
Alibaba.
paying it forward. Oh man, it's like I gave that wheelchair to that quad that was stuck in a nursing home because his insurance wouldn't pay for a wheelchair. And so he was out of the nursing home. And
Yeah,
it
that
was
makes sense.
it was really cool that like a year later that chair went to a veteran. So he paid that forward with giving that chair to another person. It's stuff like that.
What did
Oh,
you
it's
just say?
stuff like that. Damn
What,
it.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
I didn't say it.
Be careful. It's contagious, dude. It'll give you brain rot. No, it's really important. It's what's that old bullshit? Not really bullshit, but it's we can either work together or we die apart. I mean, geez, think about it. It's got to be written in some official document. I don't remember what it was, but it's like, united we stand, divided we fall, and it really is true. And it seems to be magnified in the situation that we found ourselves in.
Yes. And I hate that. And I hate to say this, but, and once you become paralyzed, at first you have everybody surrounding you, supporting you, but slowly they just are not there anymore. And, I found, even doing this channel, even doing this with you, is gave me a greater purpose. Because I know that we can reach others and make a difference.
Hey, considering what is this, our fourth live stream?
I consider our fourth episode. The first couple were just tests. But yeah,
Yeah, no, but whatever it might be, hopefully we'll get some traction or something like that, and people will need to know whatever, however, and stuff like. And I almost did it. I almost
almost.
did. Right, cease and desist there, freaking kid. But as time goes on, perhaps maybe people would need to know something. One of the things from yesterday with the Live to Roll boys, Leah mentioned pertaining to the whole the Tower of Power. And I told her, reach out and I'll send you plans. However, what do you suppose is going to happen with that? I know what's going to happen with that. She's going to reach out for plans to the tower. What happens?
They're going to build a tower.
They are going to build a tower? What, do you think Sean's going to build that tower? Do you think Leah's going to build that tower?
Who's building the tower? Somebody's got to build the tower.
3 guesses, 2 don't count.
You're building the tower.
I have to, dude. I've made about 1 billion of them. What am I not going to make it 1 billion in one? That's just no. It's just. I know what I can do. I know the product that's needed. I know what I want it to look like. I know how I want the entire thing, and I would have a problem trying to communicate that to someone so they can get what you got. When I sent you that tower, did you go like this? Oh.
Yeah, because I don't think that if I made it, it would be the tower. It's got to be made a certain way, and that is that way.
Who knows how to make it?
I don't know this.
Your
I know
boy.
this really mean guy out in Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
They say he's really angry.
He's a prick. Well, he is angry. But, anger is a very, it's an emotion. Emotion equates to passion. Passion, and in turn, is emotion. And part of a passion is anger. Anger can be misconstrued as a terrible thing. If it's focused in the right way, that's a different story in and of itself. Because what appears to be detrimental can also be very, a positive thing.
Tara said.
Depends what.
She said,
Oh, 2x4 on the wall. That's your ass, woman. 2x4 on the wall.
Yo,
Yeah.
she knows now that thing is anchored to the house. That thing don't go nowhere. Nowhere.
Dude, but that's my point. It's 5-quarter oak on the post with 6-inch spikes going into the wall. You can pull an engine block off the house with that thing. It's not going anywhere.
And it's
And
crazy.
not only that, but I don't think I would actually want somebody making one of those, because even though I'll send the plans, I don't know if they'll actually do the job that I would like to see and be like, oh yeah, I designed that, and then somebody puts a 2x4 on the wall,
And the amount
you're going to have a problem.
of exercises that you can do on that thing is absolutely insane. I think that it's unlimited. You can do so much.
No, absolutely. And that's, it's a simple design, but it's just, you got different workout levels and, and everything else like that. But, it's really not here or there. The point that I was trying to make is that I don't, I'll do my best to put them under the guise that I'll send them the plans, but all I'm going to do is just hopefully get that address, man. Because now they moved. They're in the middle of, I don't know, freaking, Coyote Valley, somewhere in the middle of the desert.
Out there in Arizona.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at, but that seems, I find part of the conversation, well, in the chat that I had with those guys, I don't know if it was last week or the week before last. It wasn't yesterday. It was a little bit ago. I was like, so let me see if I'm understanding this, Sean. I still find it funny that that's Sean The other guy's Rob. And just by virtue of, well, me being Sean, meeting you, and you being Rob, and we're starting a live stream, that it's like Sean squared, Rob squared. Uh, However, I had mentioned to Sean that, wait a minute, let me see if I'm understanding this. You're going to be living in a desert. Check. You have a problem with temperatures. Check. You have a problem with connectivity. Sometimes his, his whatever, his cable goes out or whatever because he's in the middle of nowhere. Your closest neighbor is like, I don't know, 200 yards away or whatever. Has Leah taken a life insurance policy out on you? It's the only thing that I had to ask. I was like, if she hasn't, perhaps I should. Hey, you know what? Every now and then, you got to take a bet, man. I'm not saying that she's looking to do any ill will, but I will say this. Who's that one broad? The older chick right now. I think she's still missing where her daughter, I believe it was Arizona,
yes.
McCulloch or something along those lines.
Her daughter does the Today's Show or something like that.
Yeah, I don't, Samantha something or other.
Yeah.
But it's like, she had limited exposure and, there's certain aspects. And next thing you know, poof, she was just no longer there. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I was in Jersey, man. I got a good, alibi.
I was with you.
I agree. Yes, we were right next to each other.
Right. Yep.
Right there. And I will take that to the grave, and I'll put my hand on the Bible and be like, I promise to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Unless, of course, I'm just speaking because, every now and then if I'm talking, things happen.
Oh, man.
No, I wish no ill will on pretty much anybody. And that's the whole thing with the Angry Quad. I have no animosity. I have no hatred. I have nothing for anybody. I despise spinal cord injury.
You and me both. And if we could make some kind of difference because of this injury, so be it.
Well, it's one of the reasons I got involved with research. Geez, I was better part of 13 years ago. And that's one of the guys. I'm still waiting to, I got to put a format together for Dr. Goldsmith because I would truly, really love, well, actually, I would really love you to meet the guy. He's cool as the day is long, my man. And, I know, this much about, make it so you can really see it over here. This much about spinal cord injury. And he knows,
Out of frame.
Volumes. And what he doesn't know, the big top dog over the VA, Dr. Harrell, man, I will say, once I got involved with research, first off, I understood, physicality and musculature, skeletal systems and everything else. And that's one of the ironic parts about this entire situation. My ex-wife, I put her through school to be a physical therapist. I read, A&P books, anatomy and physiology, kinesiology books, and everything, only because, like anything else, hopefully Mare's not listening to this because she hates that bitch's guts. And I don't blame her because I usually I don't throw around the term hate, but oof, man, there's a lot of people I want to be around. If I'm never around that chick for the rest of my forevers, wouldn't bother me in the least. But story for another day on that whole thing. But as much as I know about different muscles and muscle groups and muscle chains, I was my knowledge on different movements and especially with the stem and the magnetic stem, the electrical stem, and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
I knew shit, dude. The lessons that I have learned because of research are ridiculous, and I would absolutely positively love to get these guys in here.
Yeah,
You know,
I do. I go to a lot of spinal cord collaborations, and the information that I have gained through that, I am meeting other quads, paras, other people rolling in wheelchairs. It's another outlet to learn from other doctors that are speakers. Uh,
oh, absolutely.
it's like this new injection that I'm getting in my shoulder. It's called a sugar water injection. And
Really.
it is a safer alternative to the steroid. Uh, I go back in the sim soon, so I mean,
Well,
I'll take it if it's over a steroid that in the end will end up hurting me in the long run.
yeah, a lot of that's why I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals. I mean, if I'm gonna do drugs, I want to do them straight up, just the way all the rest of us wretched little rat bastards do. I
Right.
want to buy them. I want to buy them behind, the CVS parking lot or something like that. I don't want to go get that real shit. I want to get something I have no idea what's going on. But however, I'm curious what's going on with that. I mean, because steroids are one of those things they get in and the body has all its steroids, the body has all its
Right.
endorphins, and between the thyroid and the liver, the kidneys, and all the rest of that, it's just there's certain chemicals that are released naturally into the body. Steroids. First off, it's not the same as what your body would make.
Right.
So exactly how they get in and how they manifest themselves is a little sketchy. And don't get me wrong. Um, there's a lot of benefits to a lot. However, I'm from the camp where once something is inside, it doesn't really go away.
Yeah.
If it's intended for this, and after it goes from here, it's once you're in the house, there's a lot of things you could do. So I don't know,
I was kind of finding that it would help for the first week or two. And then I was finding myself hurting worse each time after. So every time I get the steroid, I feel okay. And then the pain would come back. But each time it came back, it would hurt more and more. So I was like, I'm done with that.
well, yeah, those are the what do you want to call it? The pharmacological interventions, and that's as much as benefit and perhaps detriment that we can get from either one of those. That's one of the importances it pertains to like community and support. Just talking to someone else. I mean, how many times have you spoken to somebody else and maybe they say something stupid, which is sort of like some wise ass jab, and
Stuff
next
like
thing you
that.
know, whatever the situation was or whatever the situation wasn't, you're not thinking about it now, and you're just sitting there going like this. what did you just say? And then if it's a good barb, it's just like, what's wrong with you? And that whole what's wrong with you is not meant to be a bad thing, but it's just meant to be like, you obviously hit the nail on the head. And next thing you know, whatever your ailment was or whatever your ailment wasn't, you forget all about it. And the only thing you're doing is you're conversing with the other person, and you've forgotten whatever it is that whatever your woe might be, whatever is going on. And then, it's once that gone, that whole situation when you're conversing with someone else in the community or a support, figure or something along those lines, or just, let's call them what you hope they be, whether they be friends, associates, because there is a difference, or, whatever that little word you want to put on that. It's important, because those little things, the distraction of your everyday. I mean, I spoke to you before. Not that I think I'm like like a medicine man or anything else like that, but when I talked to you earlier, you were saying that your arm was killing you, and you're like, oh, geez, you have the compression sleeve. And I'd like to believe that at this point in time, not just because you're talking to me, other though I am an intoxicating figure, I will say, but just because of the give and take, good, bad, or indifferent, your mind is somewhere else. You're not thinking about what hurts. You're not thinking about what your problems are tomorrow. You're not thinking about what your problems were yesterday. Even though, if you wish to discuss that, we can do just that.
Right.
However, it's the emotional connection and it's the detachment from what the pain and suffering may be at that point in time. You are basically, community takes you, plucks you from that isolation, which is a big problem for the community.
Yeah, because when you're isolated, you're only thinking about the things that hurt, the things that bother you, things
The
you want, yeah.
you're dwelling on the problems, and it's one of those situations where once you get sucked into whatever that might be, regardless of whatever the problem is, and you start dwelling, there's one little motherfucker that's coming in after that, and that's called depression. And I'm sorry, there's a reason that there are doctors, psychiatrists, psychiatric guys, whatever it might be, or support groups. Boom. There is a community channel. I mean, geez, churches all across the entire country, all across the world. They deal with this every day. And one of by far is the best things to shatter that mold is connections, man. It's just, it is what it is. And even me with my wise ass attitude and stuff like that, shit, man. I can, you give me 10 minutes, dude. You'll be sitting there going, guys, I don't even remember what the hell my problem was again. I have no idea what the hell that jerk off just had to say. There's something wrong with him. Where I'd like to prefer that there's something right with me, but
I mean, you said like 13, 12 years that you've been doing this, you've met a lot of people in wheelchairs, I'm sure,
absolutely.
and made a lot of connections.
Absolutely, I've made and I've lost. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. People come and go in your life. But that's fine. Even if you just hang out and chit chat with somebody for a little bit, you're always going to have that impact, because maybe you thought everything was red, but they told you it was black, and you didn't think about the possibility of why would it be black, and they sit there and they go to you, no, 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 you're seeing there's a different hue coming from the sun. You're looking at it from this perspective. Look
And
at it from
it's
the perspective of the hue coming from this part of the sun. Here's the way I see it, and you go like this, huh? And next thing you know, whatever it was that you were sit there and thought you were seeing, all of a sudden you have to question it. And as soon as you question it, that's not only is your perspective changed, but there's a very distinct possibility it'll change your mind.
and another thing is like when we're talking about this community, it's not just the people in the wheelchairs. It is our girlfriends, caretakers, the people that help us, family, because they're in situations that they need to find that connection with others in the same situation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But once again, you're just seeing a different perspective from somebody else's point of view, somebody else's perspective. And it may be something that, perhaps you didn't think about this. Do you think that, wait a minute, I know what it is I was talking about. I told you before that I was born and raised right around the corner from Thomas Edison's factory, where they came up with the light bulb, which is exactly what this thing is that's glaring into my eyes right now.
Right.
Do you think Thomas Edison put that entire thing together all by himself?
He got a community behind him.
Do you think the rocket right now, I believe, just went around the moon, Artemis,
Oh yeah.
that's now swinging back? Is it more like David Bowie, ground control to Major Tom, and he's up there all isolated, nothing there?
No.
No. There's a whole parcel of knuckleheads up there. Do you think that, Sean McCartney made that rocket and he said like this, oh, everybody back off? No. There was an entire monstrous team, a government that was behind that. Probably like
Yeah.
1,000 different people put that together. And, they're making it happen. And the reason it's still moving is because there's a massive amount of support behind that to make it go.
And then you got the people that are building the pieces that go into it.
Oh, dude.
The
levels are
changes
thick
keeps
as
going.
thieves, man. But it's basically it's an example of what life is. Yeah, did you ever see the movie Survivor with Tom Hanks?
Yes.
When he's he gets his airplane gets all busted up. I don't remember what happens, but he finds himself on an island all by himself.
The name of you know what? I love that movie so much.
Yeah, I think it's Survivor.
I
But-
used to watch that movie on repeat.
What was one of the most pivotal moments for him in that movie? You remember?
Him and the ball.
My man was so damn lonely, he ended up making best friends with a ball because
Yeah.
that bloody handprint on it, it sort of looked like a face and he could relate to it. So even though he had nothing, he had that ball. What happened to him when he went on the raft going out into the shipping lanes?
When he lost the ball,
What happened to him after that?
he got really sad.
He cried his fucking eyes out, man, because once again, he felt isolated. He felt alone. The level of death and destruction, he just, and it's one of those things, isolation. I will reiterate, we're pack animals. You can be a recluse. It's not an unusual thing. How many times have you heard People go to the top of the Himalayas and they speak to the monk that's on the top and they ask, what's the meaning of life? It's just, that guy being all by himself, that's not the norm. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's not the norm. However,
Yeah.
Who else was a recluse, lived by himself? Ted Ginn. You know who Ted Ginn is?
No.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest psycho mass murderer freaking freak shows, psychopath murdery guys and stuff like that. He was another one, an inspiration for the movie Psycho. He had problems with his mother and there was things going on. His mother passed away and he started judo chopping people and stuff. And because, it's just, he was the one that put together the girl suit out of real skin because the isolation will drive you absolutely insane. You can't talk to yourself all the time. I mean, I do believe that we should have self talks. I believe that you should try to deal with the problem, in your own head, because until you actually harness an idea of what it is you even have in your head, how can you actually discuss it with someone else? You have to have a jumping off point, but regardless of that whole thing, it's
Yeah,
just
it's kind of like I had said. When you get injured, you have all these people, and then slowly it dies off. And you really are looking for that community. You need it. We have to have it.
yeah.
And without it, oh man, bad things happen. And I hate that.
That's one of the big deals is that, we've all been there, even prior to an injury. However, it's definitely much more prolific with this entire thing going on. It's just one of the things with isolation is that, nobody really wants to, well, I don't even know. Who knows? Maybe people really want to identify with it, but with the exception, well, not with the exception, including the fact that you're going to deal with perhaps problems mentally, that manifests and it becomes physical. And, once you lose this and you start to lose this,
It's a chain reaction.
yeah, no bueno, boo boo, no bueno.
And trust me, he knows what he's talking about because I spent 2 years in bed because I gave up. And I didn't think that anybody gave a shit. So I needed that community.
Well, it's, the one thing, once again, I'm not saying like funny, like haha, I'm going more like funny, like peculiar, is because even though perhaps you will find yourself in some type of community, sometimes the people you find yourself surrounded with are not exactly the right type of people you find yourself surrounded with. And that's another thing. It's once again what I mentioned before is you may have friends, you may have associates, you may have people you just know that you just know, and you don't really discuss anything with them. But it's sort of a almost like that razor's edge type thing where you don't know what you got until you actually take a look see at it,
Right.
or you don't know if somebody's around you. Maybe you just think like I don't know, maybe that person got a bad rap or something along those lines, and somebody said, don't talk to that guy, he's a scumbag, and you're like, oh, well, how do you know? But once you meet him, you're like, what's up with that shit? This is a pretty solid dude. I will say that for myself, prior to my injury, I had a million friends. and there were people coming and going in the hospital, people coming and going in the rehab, and
Yeah.
every now and then I would see, I spent 96 days at my sister's house, and I remember that because family is an interesting thing, but that's a topic for another day right there.
Mm.
Um, when I got home, there were still people that came and went through here. Slowly but surely, much like yourself, the numbers dwindled, and I found that there was like a fistful of people left. I mean, I saw my boy Mick was just here a little while ago. You met him at my house the one time.
Yes.
I'll have him swing by again. But I have maybe 3 or 4 people that may stop by, 3 or 4 people that I want to have them stop by. I think is a better way to put it. And there were a lot of people that just went by the wayside. But there was one guy Tommy Kovac. God rest his soul. Good man. I was never very close with Tom. I knew him. We were friendly, but we were never really friends. I don't know what it was. I don't know why it was. For reasons of which I have no idea why. He was here one day with another guy that I don't speak to anymore.
Yeah.
And he was just, he was another one. He was another contractor. You know the standing thing?
Yep.
He's the guy that actually made that for me. I had the idea. I was able to scribble it, but I couldn't do anything with these things. All my tools were gone. Everything I had was gone. And pretty much everybody I had was gone. And I was talking to him about it. I was like, yeah, whatever. He goes, yeah, I can make that. I was like, cool. So, he was just like, all right, and once again, I scribbled what I wanted. We took a couple measurements, went out by in the front there. And he was just like, oh, yeah, that's doable. And he made this thing for me. My heart damn near fell out of my chest. Not that I had any real perception or an idea of who this man was or was not, but I learned very quickly exactly who this man was. And from there, every time I turned around, he was bouncing up the ramp. Shorty, get a load of this thing. All right, whatever it was.
It's crazy. Some of the people that you don't think would ever be there or even have a thought of are the ones that are actually there.
I will say, he, like I said, he's no longer with us, but I cried like a little bitch. Originally, I cried, and it's going to sound extremely selfish, and it was, and it pissed me off. I was just like, fuck, who's going to help me with? And all of a sudden, I went like this, who's going to help me with? I can get anybody to help me with anything. And I was just like,
Yep.
And the more I thought about it, the more I just missed Tom. Just the guy, not exactly the guy that was going to help me do something,
Just the guy
but
himself.
just the guy. And I was just like, my God. It took me like a week to get over my selfishness. I was just like, why would I even think that? And because of the situation that I found myself in the fact that somebody that wasn't really looking for anything, he didn't have an agenda. He just sort of wanted to mess with stuff. And I guess somewhere in the deep recesses of his entire psyche and his entire world, he was brought up properly. And he did it only because he just enjoyed. And, we built an actual friendship because of that. And it's irreplaceable. But it took me at the time. I thought I knew what was going on. I thought I knew everything. But that song, it always goes to seem to show that you don't know what you got till it's gone. And my God, ability is one of those things. You just, everything we take for granted, whether it be people, places, things, doesn't matter. Things, I give no shit about things. I'd like to keep the chair, and people. I'd like to keep mayor, but places. I really don't care about things of that nature anymore. It's just, it's been, possessions have been minimized and people have been maximized.
Right.
And it's, and the whole community support thing that we're talking about, it's just, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that there's anybody from anywhere, from any part on this planet or anything else like that doesn't recognize that. And if you do, and if you're all right being alone, I applaud you. I don't know how you pull it off.
Yeah, because it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but anyway, boss, we'll wrap it up, kid.
Yes.
Busy man.
We will let you know when we can get Gabe back on. I will drop you guys a video this week on what our next topic will be. We look forward to having Cordy on soon. And as always, guys.
Yeah, hopefully I can get in touch with one of the doctors. I want to once again. I got to put a format together for him, only because I want to be on the same page when he talks. I want to have an idea of where we are, only because these guys' time very, very valuable, and the fact that they even said yes, just I was like, really? However, I guess that's when you almost die and you get blood, sweat, and tears and everything to hopefully reach out and make it somebody else doesn't have die.
Right.
But anyway, Angry Quad signing off. Yeah, but it. That's all, folks.
Catch you guys in the next one.